To the Situation Room of the ECOWAS Parliament. In this studio, we are discussing the issues that have happened in the last 2 weeks, bordering on the ECOWAS community and the activities that will shape 2018 of the sub-region. Now, the session just ended today, is the second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament in the 4th legislature, and it kicked off with the Donors Conference with multilateral partners such as the European Union and the United Nations, who made further pledges to support the ECOWAS Parliament in the exercise of their duties in the next legislative year. The ECOWAS Parliament then kicked off in earnest with a warm welcome accorded to the President of Senegal, Macky Sall, who during his interactive session with the community lamented the sad situation of slavery in Libya and other forms of human rights violations meted against West African citizens in the troubled North African country. And in the bid to boost the infrastructure development of the sub-region in 2018, the Parliament adopted a budget of 284.9 million units of account. Now, indications are that several issues concerning ECOWAS budgetary allocation to different infrastructural development will take the bulk of the budget. Then the Parliament also hosted a summit with the National Institute of Legislative Studies and other stakeholders in the course of the session to find ways to tackle the proliferation of arms and light weapons in West Africa. Of course, we remember that the Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives was here and during his remarks gave hints as to how the community can tackle this hydra-headed monster of the proliferation of arms and light weapons in the sub-region. My name is Innocent Odo, and in this session, we are going to introduce our panel who will do justice to this particular session that just ended today. So, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will usher in the discussion session. If you're just joining us, you're onto the Situation Room of the ECOWAS Parliament. Here we are just discussing matters that have arisen from the end of the second session, ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament, the 4th legislature. And in my opening statement, I made mention of some issues that were discussed in the course of the session. And here with me in the studio, we have Idara, two very beautiful women. We have Idara Ipopanyang from Radio Nigeria. Idara, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Innocent.
We also have Patricia Luba. Patricia is of Nigerian Television Authority. You're welcome, Patricia.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity and good morning.
Thank you. So we are looking at some of the issues, like I said, that were discussed extensively in the course of the session. And obviously one of those that struck the minds of West Africans was the issue of slavery, the modern day slavery that was recorded in Libya recently. And West African leaders have met in Cote d'Ivoire recently. And of course, in the course of the session, the President of Senegal, Macky Sall, was here, and he talked so much about it and what West African countries would do to ensure that they curtail this very illicit trade. Idara, as a West African woman, how do you feel hearing that modern day slavery is happening in a place like Libya?
Well, I will say that I felt very, very disappointed. You know, I was taken aback when I heard the president of Senegal, not just him, African leaders coming out to make noise, so to say, in quotes, about the issue. Because this issue has been on for a very long time. I remember in May this year, the International Organization of Migration, IOM, raised an alarm in a forum like United Nations, where countries of the world gathered. They raised an alarm of a slave trade, a slave market in Libya. And they called for a concerted effort that something should be done. I don't know whether our African leaders didn't hear about it, but nothing seems to be done. It took just a CNN video footage for our African leaders, and indeed the global community, to just wake up from their slumber and then started making noise. For me, it didn't really make sense. This thing has been on. We cannot close our eyes. We can't pretend as if we don't know it's been on. There have been so much report. I read about this story, not just the IOM alert or alarm. I read about it on BBC. It was on BBC. This same story we are talking about was on BBC. BBC reported it. And they even had, there were some NGOs that went there and, you know, they made noise about it. Nothing was done. Okay,
do you think that now that they have woken up, the African leaders, the West African leaders now that they have woken up, the measures that they have put in place, do you think they'll be able to tackle this menace?
When you say to tackle the menace, I don't really know tackling the menace now. Because what I heard they want to do is, in a statement that was released yesterday, they said they want to repatriate 20,000 Africans to their country of origin. Now, when you repatriate, do you think they will not go back to Libya? So, what should be done? What is the main thing that should be done? It is about, I feel, this thing has to do with the poor economic situation on the continent. Do you think that if things were moving fine on our continent, if we have good governance, we have infrastructure, do you think that this youth, we have job for our teeming youth, would they like to go to such a place and suffer? I don't think so. So I think it has to, the African leaders, maybe I'm also a leader too, but the African leaders should do their job. They should do the needful.
Well, you heard it from me. They are so passionate about what has been happening and how she lamented the sad situation of modern slavery in North Africa. Patricia, let me also come to you now. What do you let us share your thoughts on this issue of slavery in Libya.
Well, for me to talk about that, the good thing about this is that I've been on this case for a while, on the decks of foreign reportage. It's a sad thing for one to say that you see people being, if I would just say cargoed like animals, like goods, just to go somewhere. But we have to go, what are the root causes? If you don't address the situation, or rather you don't give provision for why people do what they do, this is going to be a trend that will keep going on and on and on. And if you look at it, it's more like taking somebody, promising somebody something that could, in quote, your own person is not giving you. I will offer to you. But a hidden agenda is in the person inviting you out. Now, I was talking with somebody in the office yesterday. I said, to an extent, I feel as if when we get them back, we'll spank them on their bum bum and tell them, why did you go? But everybody will tell you they have a reason because it's not provided. Okay, if I'm not provided, does it give me a reason to just like sell away my life? You have to appreciate who you are first. Appreciate what your country is giving you. Appreciate what it's on ground so that you hang in there. The government has to play a role. You in particular will pay. I will play. The person involved will have to play his role. Then we'll be able to get it right. You asked Amara that, how do we address this? The addressing is simple. Appreciate what you have. I spoke with Honorable Ibrahim Sadiq. He spoke intensively about it. He was disappointed as much. And he said, providing infrastructure could help. Giving the youth a reason to hold on to life itself would help. Giving the nation itself that, quote unquote, its rightful place in the community of nations will help. So, but how do we do it? You have to appreciate that thing that you have, which without.
Okay, there's this trend in a very disturbing trend about the issue of people migrating to seek greener pastures in other climes. Now, there's this people believe here. There's a belief, apart from the fact that people also sell their land here. We hear in some parts of the country, people sell property worth millions of naira, and in order to go out there to find greener pastures, and they end up in this kind of situation. How do we, as a people, now begin to conscientize the people of Nigeria and the rest of West Africa that it is not all roses out there?
If you watch the NT of recent, there's this, will I say, a jingle that is on. A young lady, though the face was covered, definitely won't know who she is. She said, if you think going to Germany, Italy it is, don't do, because she has tested it. My own bottom line in this matter is that let's just provide that we have. Thank God it has happened this way. Like the African nation has now realized that without sensitization, without making people see the effect, or rather the negative in the traveling out of your own country has on the people, it won't do. And that is where the media comes in. Because when we keep putting this thing on air, we keep putting it on radio, we keep putting it on the papers, people will read and they will see. Then if you have that heart of like, let me appreciate myself, you won't have to go through slavery anymore.
Idara, you are angling to say something about this.
Yes, I want to agree with Patricia in a way. NAPTIP, I have had cause to speak with officials of NAPTIP, and they tell me that they embark on sensitization, not just on the, not just here in town, but they go to the grassroots. Still, the people do not learn. They still have, some of them have their relatives that have come back and have narrated their stories, the woes that they have gone through. Still, they don't learn. Have you bothered to ask yourself why? Is it a psychological thing? Even when you see your brother dying, there was a woman I heard lost her 3 children on this trip. And her neighbor still wants to embark on the same trip. So what is we should ask ourselves the fundamental question. What is the root cause? Why is it that, like you said, somebody will sell his or her piece of land? No matter what you tell the person, he is just adamant. He wants to embark on that trip. Why is it so?
Well, let me hold your thought on that, Idara. You're making a very passionate statement about this whole thing. I understand that you are not really happy about the situation. But then, the psychological problem, the fundamental issues are questions that we'll continue to dig deeper into in order to find why something like that has been happening. On that note, I say thank you so much, gentlemen of the press, Idara Ukpanyang from Radio Nigeria and Patricia Duba from NTA for sharing your thoughts on these very disturbing issues in West Africa. Viewers, if you're just joining us, we'll be back in a short while.